Hello, hello. I'm your host, Jake. We have a good show for you tonight. We are going to be talking about real estate. Real estate is, something that we all deal with no matter where we live, but Austin is a pretty hot market. People love moving to Austin. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to get someone out here. We're going to talk about real estate, what you got to do to buy a house. It's not just pick the house. You got to get your credit in line. So we're going to go over all that. And I have Caitlyn Balderas here. And why don't we just kind of introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about yourself.
Sure, thank you.
Yes.
My name is Caitlyn Balderas, and I am the owner of Haven Homes Austin, a brokerage out of Round Rock. We work in the entire Austin area, pretty much from Gerald down to New Braunfels and Elgin out to Spicewood, and then I do have agents that work for me that work beyond those borders. I've helped hundreds of families buy and sell homes in this area, and I really love what I do. I'm really thankful. I started off at a small boutique brokerage called Austin, Texas Homes, which I loved, and then I went to Keller Williams, and I learned a lot there, and then I started my own company in 2020.
Now, how do you decide, I want to get into real estate in the first place?
Oh, sure. For me, I had helped a friend get connected with my realtor, and then I also helped bring the buyer with my neighbors who were a realtor, and then kind of made a joke that I should become a realtor.
Yeah.
And then it just went from there, and I started off just being happy to sell a home or two, and then it became a full-time thing where I started my own company.
Now, is it hard to get the real estate license? Like, how hard is this?
It's not super hard to get the license, but they don't teach you a lot in school about actually how to run a business. So,
It's just you have to answer these questions, and then you can do it and basically learn on the job.
You take 6 classes. I've had agents that work for me do it in 30 days.
Wow.
But really, it starts when you actually try to get your first clients and work, and it's really important to pick a company that will train you how to do that.
And most people, I assume, go under someone, an umbrella to learn,
Yes. If you are not a broker, you have to work for a broker.
Okay. All right. Now, we are in post-COVID.
Yes.
And I know I joke with you about this because I liked it. It kind of started to tank because I want to buy soon, and it's been inflated forever, a long time. So to have it slow down, stop, even go down a little bit, I'm fine with that. I know it's not good for real estate agents or people selling,
Yes.
but it's definitely good for first-time buyers that don't have to, make a jump from selling to buying.
It's mixed news for everyone, but right now, last month's statistics said that the average sales price for the entire Austin area was $450,000. If we go back to 2020, right before the pandemic, March 2020, it was at $335 for the average home sale price.
Wait, before COVID?
Before COVID.
3.
So it went up last year at this time. The average home price was $521. So we had a huge jump.
That's in
over
Austin
2 years.
proper.
All of the Austin
okay.
area, entire Austin metro area. So we have come back down from that peak, but now we're still higher than we were before COVID. Mm-hmm. So if you bought a home in the last few years, it's still a very good investment. You have to live somewhere. You might as well be investing in yourself and paying yourself and getting the equity. But I think a lot of people are worried that the values have come down, but they're still significantly higher than they were before COVID, the COVID market.
So that profit that they're going to make that would be here in 5 years and maybe 3 years to get to that point.
But we do feel like the statistics that came out last month are showing that we probably have hit the bottom. We're hopeful that we hit the bottom and we're starting to plateau or start to go up. We did see some increases in the last month or so. So we are hopeful that things are turning around. We do anticipate the interest rates going down over the next couple months.
Going down.
Okay. Improving.
Okay.
And that will bring a lot more buyers and return us to a little bit more competition.
So don't they play a game with interest and house prices? Lower the prices, put the interest up.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm definitely not an expert on the economy, but you do see a correlation.
Sneaky, those guys. All right. So we we definitely hit a plateau.
That's what we're seeing.
Okay. And probably not going to go any lower.
I cannot predict the future. I wish that I could, but
Yeah.
you know, we are hopeful that things are starting to stabilize.
Yeah.
It seems like they have, and so it really is a good time to buy a house.
Yeah.
This is for people that have been on the fence. I've been really encouraging them that I think this is a really good
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Better by now than when it was at the height, if you did wait.
Yes.
And like I told you, I'm at the point now where I'm like, okay, I'm getting serious. I moved out of my one place that was kind of expensive. I've got my, I can't ask for more money from my job. All I can do is change what I spend my money on. So I got my rent down because I hate paying rent. But anyway, I got it down low, and I'm gonna just save money, buy land, and
you're preparing
yeah.
to buy a home, which is awesome. So the first thing that I recommend people do is to talk with a realtor about their goals, even if it's far out, even if it's a year away, because then it gives you the mindset and it helps you to know how much money you need to have saved, depending on what kind of loan program you're going to go with, what your credit needs to be at. There's a lot of factors that go into preparing to buy a home, not just
I'm ready.
it's not just money or it's
Yeah.
not just credit. So working with an expert will help you to be fully prepared. So talking to the realtor about your goals, and then they usually have preferred lenders they work with that they can connect you with and recommend, so you can speak to a lender who can also prepare you for those things.
And let's, because a lot of this is very obvious to you. If someone is a first-time home buyer, they don't know what a lender is.
So a mortgage lender is the person that helps you get the loan to buy the house. If you're not paying cash, then you have to finance it, and you would be working with a lender to do that.
Okay. So the lender, along with you, handle all the paperwork and
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
And you will have tons of paperwork to sign.
Lots
I
of
remember
paperwork,
that.
Lots of paperwork. So the lender looks at your income, your debt, your credit score, and your available funds to pay towards your down payment and your closing costs.
What you have in the bank.
What you have in the bank, and then you can work towards saving more if you need to. So the debt to income ratio is really important because they're going to look at how much money you make and how much is going out in your minimum payments for your debts, and they make a ratio, and then that tells them how much home you can afford for your maximum budget. And then they'll work with you on how much you feel comfortable paying and your monthly payment, and then with that, that's how we decide how much of a home we should be buying.
Yeah. I remember when we bought our first house, this was like 2005 or so, we said, this is what we want our budget, but they're like, oh, we look at our income, they're like, oh, you can get 250. I'm like, no, I don't want to be house poor.
Yeah.
This is what we're looking for. This is the payment. So I guess that's what we talked to you about.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't recommend people maxing out their budget
Yeah.
because it does put you in a tight spot. They will qualify you for higher than what most people are comfortable paying. So we try to find that sweet spot of what feels good to you monthly, and then what kind of house you can get for that
Yeah.
price.
Because also, you're going to have your car, like you're still going to have expenses.
Yeah, you have expenses.
Does it change? Sorry, I know you're on your thing, but do those numbers change if you come at it from a single home buyer versus a couple's home buyer?
I believe it is just overall total income and debt.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So the house, whatever that, say 250, doesn't matter if someone is a single person or a couple, they still have to have the numbers at whatever.
Not from my understanding.
Yeah.
And so we usually look for credit scores at least 640 and above. There are some programs that can work with lower. The interest rates are going to be a lot higher. So usually trying to get you to 640 or above. If your credit scores aren't what you want them to be, most of the lenders can work with you to give you some tips on how to improve them. So they might have you pay a card down to a certain amount, pay off a loan, open up a credit card. There's different things that they'll have you do, and they'll give you an exact plan.
Yeah.
And they'll tell you how long it will take.
To play that credit game. But don't get rid of your long
No.
established credit card.
Yes.
I did that. I was thinking I'm going to be good.
Yeah.
I don't use this credit card. Luckily my score is 830 or whatever. And I was like, I'm going to get rid of this. Boom, knocked it back down to like 800.
Yeah.
I'm like, I was being responsible. I got rid of a credit card
Yeah.
and it hurt me.
It's basically a game. So I tell everyone, like, please don't do anything
Yeah,
unless the lender
ask.
has asked you to.
Yeah.
And another good point is once you are under contract on a home, don't do anything that changes your credit. Do not buy a
Don't.
new car. Do not open, like a lot of people will go to buy a washer and dryer or some furniture and
Oh, the
open a credit line, and
yeah.
they can actually, if the debt to income ratio is too close, they can end up not being approved. So I tell people
How frustrating.
very seriously,
Yeah.
please do not do anything without,
Whoa.
I don't care how silly you think it is, just
Yeah.
quick text to the lender, hey, I'm gonna do this, is that cool? If they say don't do that, then please don't do that.
Yeah.
So once we get all of that information, we can talk through different loan types. So there are some for as little as 0 down. If you are former military or current military, you can get a VA loan, and it is 0 down. You know, the veterans and active duty people, they have worked really hard and protected our country so that they've earned that right to be able to use
Yeah,
that kind of
yeah.
program. We also have something called a USDA loan, which is location-based. And so if you are willing to live on the outskirts of the city, somewhere like Elgin or Liberty Hill, you can get a loan, but it's based on the address. It's based on where you decide to buy, and that can also be 0 down because they're
Is that an
trying-
incentive?
It's an incentive because they're trying to grow more rural areas.
Okay, to populate these unpopulated areas. Gotcha.
Yes. If neither of those options work for you, you can do an FHA loan, which is what a lot of first-time home buyers do, and that's 3.5% down. And then there are conventional loans that are between 3 and 5% down minimums. So there really are a lot of options. One of the questions or myths that I hear a lot is that you have to have 20% down. If you do have 20% down, you can avoid mortgage insurance. That saves you a little bit of money every month. But you do not have to have 20% down. So that is really helpful for people because that's quite
Yeah.
a bit of money when the average home price is $450.
And I found it interesting. I thought first-time home buyer was literally first-time home buyer. I had bought a house when I was married, now divorced, and it's a time thing, right?
Yes.
So what do they consider?
It's usually 3 years, can be up to 5 years, I believe, but 3 years
That's
is what I
nothing.
usually hear. Yeah,
Oh,
that
wow.
you have not owned a home in 3 years.
So you have to be a renter, basically, if you're a
Yes.
renter for 3 years.
Some people live with family, or
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
or
yeah.
or a renter. Yeah.
All right.
So once we look at all of those things and we get our number that we're working towards, then we can go look at houses.
That's the fun part.
That's the fun part. So what I like to do is I like to have a meeting with my buyers and we talk about goals. We talk about everything that they want in their
Yeah.
home. Location, size, things that are really important to them. I have some clients that want the house to face a certain direction
Oh.
or they want a specific school district. So I take all their information and then I set up a search portal where I put in all the criteria and then anytime that they have a match with that, it gets sent to them in an email.
Yeah.
And then they can access their portal at any time and they can favorite it, heart it, and send me notes in the portal. And then once we have some that we'd like to look at, we pick a time to go and do some tours. So we call them showings.
Yeah.
And we start looking. So once you find a home that you like, then we decide if we're going to make an offer. And so we talk through.
How is there? Hold on. Is there a typical? I say typical. Is there a typical time frame that it takes most people? Because I know back in the day, pre-COVID, like things were
Yeah.
things can go so long because you lose so many houses that you want.
Yes. So
Is there a time frame that's
for
general or
me
average?
Personally, it's usually within the first 1 to 2 times that we go out and look at homes because I try to pay really close attention to what they are looking for, and so I try to help them make the best matches to that. So then we're having a higher level of success on finding a home that we like because it's very specific to what they've told me they want.
Yeah.
But it's not uncommon, especially when you're looking for something very unique or specific, for it to take longer because you just have to wait for that to come up. So with the market being a little bit slower now, I am noticing that my buyers are not in quite as much of a hurry or a rush because they are not afraid of missing out on a home. During COVID market, we would have to go look at something that day, make an offer, like basically decide while we were in the house
Oh
if
my
we were going to
God.
buy it and discuss it and make the offer. And there were offer deadlines and they could have, 10, 15, 30 offers and we just have to make the strongest offer we could. I'm pretty glad we're not doing that anymore at the moment.
Seems stressful.
It was very stressful for everyone. Exciting, but stressful. So,
Yeah.
yes. So, like I had some clients that wanted a ranch and we needed very specific types of dirt and not too many rocks and specific types of grass for the farm animals and the horses. So we looked for about 9 months.
Yeah.
Most weekends.
Yeah.
And we found it eventually, and
Yeah.
that's totally fine too.
Is it easier now to get incentives on something like, I want this house as the buyer?
Yeah.
I want this, but can you also pay for this or get me a washer dryer or leave something?
Sure. So those are some of the things we talk about when we're deciding what to put in the offer. So during COVID, it was a seller's market. So the buyers were basically like, whatever you want,
Yeah.
just please
Yeah.
sell me this house. Right now, it is more of a buyer's market. So we can say, yeah, we would really like you to leave the fridge, the washer and dryer, because those are appliances that don't necessarily stay. And we are allowed to ask for closing costs again. So during COVID, it was very hard if you didn't have a lot of excess cash to even buy a home. Now we're kind of back into a more of a normal market, and so we are able to sometimes negotiate the closing costs to be covered by the seller. And new construction, which we'll talk about a little bit more later, they are offering a lot of incentives for closing costs as well.
Good.
Okay, so we talk about those things, we talk about price, we talk about closing date, and just some other fine points in the contract that I find to be helpful in winning an offer. And we put it all together and we send it to the agent, and then sometimes there's back and forth of negotiations, but at the end of the day, the goal is that we can agree and get this house sold.
Nice. And did we talk about what they like the credit score to be?
Yeah, 640.
640.
Yeah.
And if it's not,
Then
I'm good.
They give
I'm in
you
the
a plan.
eights,
Yeah, they'll give
800s.
you a plan.
It's harder, or you got to work on it before.
You got to work on, yeah.
Or do you get stuck with penalties and, or they not?
Most lenders recommend you just work on it.
Okay, just fix
Because
it.
it can be done really quickly sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, especially if you're close.
Okay.
So once we negotiate the offer and go under contract, go into escrow, we start something called the option period. So every state is different. In different states, they might have this built in, but in Texas, we like to be unique. And so what we do is we have something called an option period. And you're basically buying the option to walk away for any reason for a certain amount of days. So this is on resale, not on new construction. So what I see on average is about 7 days. That is when we do inspections and negotiate any repairs. And we're paying an option fee to have the option to walk away for that period of time. And so it's different depending on the home
So the fee is the
price.
pause, so they can't, no one can sell it out from a.
Buying, you're already under contract, but you're buying the right to walk away for any reason during that time.
Okay.
Most people only walk away if we can't come to an agreement on the repairs.
So, but it slows things down, like it lets you
No,
go
it's all part of
oh,
the escrow period.
Okay.
It's just that first part. So once you go under contract, you negotiate, usually 7 days.
Okay.
And then we get the inspector out right away,
Yeah.
and we do the inspection. And then if we find out that there are any problems with the home, which in general, for resale, there's
Yeah.
going to be a couple. We negotiate either having those items repaired or getting a credit instead of a repair.
Oh, yeah, disc.
Yeah, so we do that in the first, week usually, and then once you get out of that period, there are not a lot of reasons why you would be allowed to walk away from the contract without losing your earnest money, which is kind of like a deposit you put down when you go under contract.
And earnest is probably a percent?
1%, yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, 1%. And yeah, like I said, for new construction, it's a whole different process, and we can talk about that in a little bit. So we want to make sure your home is in good condition. That's why we do the inspections, because this is the largest purchase you're going to make. It's an investment in your future. You don't want to get in and find out that you had to pay 20 grand to put a new roof on the property. You want all of that to be figured out during that option period, and have the seller who's been responsible for the home take care of the home and hand it off to you in a good condition.
Yeah. Is there typically something that gets caught in an inspection that you would not know?
Sure.
Yeah,
I mean, anything behind walls that you can't see.
Floor level,
Yeah. pretty careful about trying to see if I think the foundation is off when we tour the home, but definitely foundation. In Central Texas, you know, with our soil, it's very common to have foundation problems. You want to be very careful because that's a very expensive fix. You know, electrical, plumbing. So we're looking not so much at cosmetic things, but really big ticket items like livability of the home, safety and health of the home, and structure. So roof and foundation, plumbing, electrical.
Some maintenance type.
Maintenance, yeah. Just making sure that everything in the house is in working order. The things I see the most are like roof repairs. We just have so much hail here. So the inspector will do a report either with a drone or going up on the roof and take pictures. And then if he thinks that there might be some work that needs to be done, we have a roofer come in and give us an estimate. So once we get out of that option period, it's a very busy period of time at the beginning of the contract, and then we proceed after that. And a lot of that time in between then and closing is spent gathering any documents that your lender needs. The title company is doing their work to make sure that this seller is allowed to sell this property that has ownership and the right, and there aren't any liens on the property, and some background research. And then once they get all of that done, we get to go to closing, which is when you sign all the paperwork and you get the keys and you sign your life away for 30 years usually. But it's like a celebration because we all worked really hard and now we're here, and the seller is happy because they get their, you know, money, their profit from their investment, and the buyer is happy because now they have a home, and I love it. I try to make it fun. I bring treats and gifts, and we just try to make it a good time.
Yeah. Is there, I know everybody's different, but in your experience, when you buy or sell, help someone buy or sell, is there an average time that a person stays in a house?
The statistics say about 5 to 7 years.
See, that blows my mind.
Yeah.
Like,
it's an average, but I've seen much less and I've seen much more. But especially in this area, there seems to be a lot of movement between DFW, Houston, San Antonio here. So like if you get transferred, you know, unless you're going to find another job, that's just what you're going to do. So it's very common to have people move for jobs.
But isn't there like I don't know about a law, but like a rule that you can't move or sell within a certain time frame?
Yes, if you sell within less than 2 years, then you have to pay capital gains tax.
And what's the reason for that? Just so people don't house
government.
Okay,
I mean,
regular.
I don't know where it came from, but yeah, it's a pretty hefty tax.
It's probably to keep investors from just buying and, you know,
probably as
to
well.
keep
And we do
normal
actually
people
have
to
ways
buy.
to work around that. If you are an investor and you're flipping houses or buying and selling in less than 2 years, you can do a 1031 exchange, which basically puts the money from one investment into an account so you can go buy another house with that and defer taxes.
Gotcha. I think they have that with car titles too. Like you have to do, if you're gonna like, I have friends that sell a lot of cars, and you basically, the thing is like you don't put your name on the title yet until you sell, because you don't want it to like go through a bunch of people's hands. You just kind of keep it and don't sign the title. Anyway, I don't know. I'm not a car person or a house person, so I don't know. Oh, let's give out the address, by the way.
Oh, sure. My website is havenhomesaustin.com. There's a lot of good information on there. That's how you can get a hold of me if you have any questions. I have 5 agents that work for me. All of their information is on there. And just try to make it very easy to get information so that you can make a good decision on buying a home.
Now, hold on. I'm gonna slow down the process. Don't forget where we are. But you just reminded me. You said you have 5 agents. That's huge to, go from being an agent to having people under you, managing that. What was the thing like? I'm going to really make things complicated and really, make my life hard and start a company and get people.
It comes down to a couple things. One of them being that I'm a Christian and I just felt like God was leading me down that path. I'm very independent. I like making my own decisions and I don't really like being told what to do. So, that was going to give me ownership over my own brand and making my own choices. And then looking into the future, I have 4 children. I don't necessarily want to be actively selling forever. I definitely enjoy it and will be doing it for quite a while, but not forever.
Yeah.
Or just doing it a little bit less and encouraging the agents and helping them with business.
Yeah.
So just long-term thinking of wanting to have more options.
Okay.
And I really, I wouldn't be here if someone didn't give me a chance. And
Oh,
someone
yeah.
poured into me and taught me how to do this, Jason and Frank. And, I'm really thankful for that.
Yeah.
And so it's really important to me to pass that forward and help people be successful.
Nice. Okay. I forgot that you did that. So yeah.
All right. So from there, let's talk about the home selling process.
Okay.
So
Did we cover everything?
we
'Cause
covered
I'm looking
everything
at our
on
time.
the buyers. I want to come back to this topic
Okay.
after.
Okay. Yeah.
So for the home selling process, I usually prefer to come and tour the home first thing.
Yeah.
Because I need to know what the condition is. I can get a range of what I think
Mm-hmm.
the price is, but I need to see it to hone in on that price. I walk through people's homes with them, and I always tell them, no judgment at all. I
Yeah.
have 4 children. My house is always a
Yeah.
mess. Don't worry about that. But I want to see if we need paint. I want to see if I see any potential foundation problems. I always give them kind of tiers of options of stuff that I recommend that they do. At the end of the day, we can sell a house in any condition, but there are a couple easy things you can do to improve it and sell it for more. So I like to give them their options, and I write a list as we go, and I make a list for every room of things that I recommend they either pre-pack or paint or whatever they need to do, upgrades
Yeah.
if they would like to do that. So
Staging, basically.
yeah, we usually work with them to stage their home with the furniture that they already have.
Huge.
Yes.
Huge.
Yeah.
Seeing a house unstaged versus stage,
Yeah.
that can sell it.
Yeah.
So it blew my mind when the more realtors I know and when I've seen examples. Oh my
Definitely.
gosh.
Especially in this market, in the COVID market, everything flew off regardless.
didn't matter.
But for this market, yes,
Yeah.
it back into normal
Yeah.
land. But so we go through, we talk about different repair options or updates, and then we have a listing appointment where I go over the data, talk to them about the sales they've had in their neighborhood,
Comps
and then
and-
comps and what
I know that
you
key
know,
word,
you know
comp.
that
I
word.
knew that.
So we talk about what I would recommend pricing the home at, and then how I will market it for them.
Okay, I know this from experience. Some people get a little upset and think that, because you're looking at it from a realistic, no emotional, these people have been in this, their kid grew up, their baby was
Yes.
born. They think their house is worth way more than what you know it to be.
Yeah.
Because you don't have an emotional attachment.
Right.
How do you got to bridge that gap carefully?
Yeah, I try to be really gentle
Yeah.
and compassionate about that. It is data, and that's
Yes.
why I present them the data before I talk about the price.
And let them kind of go in
Yeah.
their head, see that number is not what,
Yes.
yeah.
And then, I'm always willing to consider talking about the number that they want, but I just am very honest with them about the fact
Might
that this might not sell at
Right.
all, or it might take a very long time, and we will have to do multiple price drops that would put us lower than we were at the
What's
first
more important?
place.
Yeah, getting
Yeah.
a little bit less than you want or a
Yeah.
lot and over time.
I find just through the way I communicate, usually
Yeah.
we can come to an agreement.
Yeah.
And also, it depends on motivations. They
if
might
they're a
not really
motivated
want to
buyer,
sell.
yeah, then they're like, whatever.
Yeah. So, but I'm actually surprised more often people are surprised their house is worth more than what they thought it was. I actually have that more often.
Wow.
Yeah.
I guess this is Austin.
So,
Someone's going to pay me that much?
yes.
Wow, okay.
Yes. And so we, once we've talked about everything, I give them the list of things that they need to get completed, and we talk about a timeline. Is this going to take you a week? Is it going to take you a month? Everyone's different. They are different schedules, and
Yeah.
it might take them longer. We might need to get someone in to help them.
You mean before, like if you say once we sell it, how much time do you need? A month to move
No,
out?
like to prepare to list it.
Oh,
So like
gotcha.
from the time I come
Gotcha.
over until the time we're ready to list, because it might be that
Do
they
some
don't want to
things.
list until school gets out,
Gotcha.
or you need to complete these items to be in the best situation to
Yeah.
take the photos.
Yeah.
So then we talk about how long they think it'll take them to do it. And then once, we check in and see how it's going. And once they get pretty close to the end, we schedule the photographer. So for me, personally, I think you can tell the difference if you're looking at Zillow or Realtor.com and you see a house with iPhone pictures versus a house with professional photography. That's something I offer as part of my services. So I always have a professional photographer out, because that's how we get people in to look at the home. You want professional photography. So we have him come in, him or her.
It's also a lot about the color grading.
It is. I mean, it is.
Because you can have an iPhone, and if you color grade it right, but
if you know what you're
compares,
doing, but no, I want the experts, and I have some amazing photographers. So,
but those experts have the good camera, the good lens, and they color
do.
grade. iPhone people don't know how to do that.
They don't. And then the people that I use, he also has a 4D camera, and so it's called Matterport, and he walks through the house at different points, and you can basically walk through the entire house,
click on,
and turn around and everything. And that was popular before the COVID market, but during the COVID market, it was key because people couldn't go in houses or were not comfortable going in houses, or we had a lot of people relocating here from out of state.
Bought unseen.
Yes.
And they had to move fast.
Yes, so I started doing that on all my listings at that point. So we have the photos done, usually get those back within 24 hours, and then we're ready to list the property. We put it on the MLS, and then that goes out to Zillow and Redfin and Realtor.com and all of the syndicated sites. And then we do, for my company, we do social media marketing. So we do a blast out to all of our socials, as well as the private agent groups that we're in. Sometimes we do postcard campaigns. It kind of just depends on the situation.
I like your videos and your posts that you do, because I mean, your photography is on point.
Thank you. Yeah, I've one of my agents is a filmmaker, and she taught all of us how to do reels, and so we've been doing reels.
Are huge.
You got to keep up with the current trends, and she does a lot of TikTok. I'm too old for TikTok, but so once we do that, we receive offers. I have the statistics here for the last couple years. Like in 2018, the average days on market was 61 days. And then...
Was that considered good, or is that
that's like normal.
Yeah, okay.
And then 2020, right before COVID, it was 54. And then in 2022, it was 21. And that's including like stuff that was overpriced. So most of the houses I was seeing were going in a weekend. Right now we're at 80, so it's a little higher, but it has to do with inventory and available buyers. So the way that we measure inventory is very unique. It surprised me when I got into real estate. It's by months. So if we stopped listing houses today, how many months would it take to sell what we currently have? And so in 2018, it was 2.2 months of inventory, and anything under, it's negotiable depending on who you talk to. Between 4 months and 6 months is more of a buyer's market. Anything under that is a seller's market. So even in 2018, we were in a seller's market. In 2020, it was 1.6. This was right before COVID, so March, 1.6 months. And in March of 2022, it was 0.5 months. And I was studying it the whole COVID market. At one point, we were at 0.1. So that's a week.
Because no one was building, so
right.
Any inventory is going to be bought up.
Right now we're at 3 months.
Now, is this existing or is this new construction as well?
This is
all of
everything. Everything.
Okay.
Yeah. So we list the home. I try to prepare my clients on what the average days on market is at the moment, so that they have proper expectations. But we do try to price it so that it will sell on the faster side. And then we basically repeat that entire process that we just discussed of the inspections and the negotiations and all that. We just do it on the other side. It has a little bit less back end work because we are not qualifying for a mortgage. We're just waiting for everybody to do their paperwork. So a lot of people ask me like things to look for in a neighborhood. So everyone is going to have their own personal preferences. I know you want chickens. We cannot look at any neighborhoods that don't allow chickens. For me, I wanted to live in...
So a loose HOA or no HOA?
Yeah, basically. City of Austin, I think, allows chickens everywhere, even with an HOA. But like for me, I wanted to live in a in the Round Rock ISD school district, and I wanted a specific feeder pattern of schools. So everyone's going to have their specific things they're looking for. So even if you do not have children in school, or your children are in private school or homeschooled, the school district still matters because that affects your resale value.
Oh, and taxes.
And taxes, but resale value because you might sell it to a family.
Yeah.
If the schools aren't rated very well, it will bring down your resale value. So,
and maybe more crime in the...
And I cannot really advise on crime, but I do encourage people to do their own research on crime statistics. Neighborhood amenities, does it have a pool in the neighborhood? Does it have a golf course? Does it have a gym? There's a lot of different options. The quality of the building from the original builders and how well the neighborhood has been kept up as a whole, and then how that specific house has been kept up.
Yeah.
So my job a lot of times is just to listen and take notes and try to hear, the things that people are saying and try to remind them of that when we start looking at houses. Well, guy said that a community pool is really important to you.
Yeah.
This neighborhood doesn't have one. Are you willing to let that go for this house?
Right.
Because what I find is most of the time they're willing to because the house is pretty.
Right.
But when I ask them a year or two later, they really regret not having the community pool or giving up. Oh, I didn't really want to be more than 30 minutes away, and this house is 45 minutes away, but it's okay because we love it. Well, over time, they don't love that commute. Yeah. So I try to, at the end of the day, it's their choice. Yeah. It's my job to remind them what they said they wanted, and then they make their decision.
Yeah. It's like, this house has the kitchen that you want. It's big, open, but it's in this,
Yes. So
I gotta have a big kitchen.
Okay.
Kitchen is my all-time favorite place to be.
Kitchen and chickens.
Yeah.
Got it.
Chicken and kitchens. There you go.
So we can talk a little bit about new construction versus resale.
See, I think that's the way to go.
To each their own.
Yeah.
Like what the most common thing that I hear for people say that they don't want new construction is mature trees.
Oh yeah, we got small trees when we got that.
Because it's unless there's some communities that have trees existing and they build around them, but it's not very common.
Right. Usually they just plow everything.
Yeah.
And then,
Or certain school feeder patterns, they might not have new construction. So then they're willing to do resale for that reason. But I do think new construction is an amazing opportunity.
Yeah.
You get a brand new home. So if you're buying new construction, you are either going to buy a to-be built, which is you choose everything. You choose the floor plan. You usually get to choose the finishes. They did away with that a little bit during the COVID market, but it's starting to come back. Pick colors, or they might have a color package you can choose from. And then you get to watch it be built. So it's a longer timeline, but it's yours, and you made all the choices. Then we have inventory homes, which are homes that the builder started. Someone might have chosen all of it, and then they had to walk away for some reason, or they just were designer chosen colors. And that home might be ready in a month or 2 months in a shorter time frame, but it's still a brand new house, and you still get to be the first person to live there, and all of the warranties that they offer. Because most new construction companies will offer a 1-year warranty for everything outside of the walls, a 2-year warranty for everything inside of the walls, and then a 10-year structural warranty, which is the foundation and the roof structure, not the shingles, but the roof structure. So when you go under contract with new construction, we don't have that option period window. You have a different amount of earnest money that you put down most of the time. It can be more or less. And then you wait for the house to be built. You still get to do your inspections if you'd like to. They do their own inspections and city inspections, but you can also do your own third party, which I recommend.
Oh, yeah.
And then we do 2 final walkthroughs. So the first one is to walk through the house and find anything that you think is wrong with it.
I love doing the punch.
You got to, yes.
Mark it up with blue tape.
So we did blue
Fix this,
tape.
paint that.
Blue tape is for paint. Green tape is usually for texture. If you notice, there's light bulbs missing. There's this doorknob is dented. Whatever it is, you are expecting to get it home in basically perfect condition.
Yeah.
And so we go through about 1 to 2 weeks ahead of closing, and then we go back a couple days before closing or the day of and make sure it's to your liking, and then you get to go to closing. So for resale, and I'll also say for new construction, there are a lot of incentives right now. During the COVID market, we didn't have enough new construction. There were waiting lists or bidding wars. It was pretty out of control.
Yeah.
Now we have the opposite because they ramped up production, but then things started to slow down. So they have a lot of excess homes right now. You can get a very, very good deal on new construction right now. They are negotiable on the price, and they will often cover your closing costs or give you even more than the closing costs to buy down your rate, or they'll give you a special rate. So there's a lot of reasons to go with new construction right now.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, I was looking for cars recently, and they say, oh, we can always give you way better deal on new cars because the dealers are giving like they made the car, they just got to move them and get rid of them.
Yeah.
Whereas resale in other cars, it's harder to.
I think it depends on the market for the cars and the houses.
Yeah.
So for resale, we've already discussed that some. The houses are older, but as long as they've been maintained well, it's still a house. Everyone has to keep a house up to be able to live in it. If there's a leak, you can't keep living in it. You're going to have mold. You're going to have issues. So I do have clients that tend to only want a house that's maybe 10 years old, or someone that wants to do a pretty large renovation might be open to something a lot older than that.
Because they know they're going to tear down the walls and
And some people like the character of older homes. So
I bet a lot of people buy in the neighborhood, even if it's not the perfect house. Get the neighborhood you want, and then modify, change.
Oh, definitely. And that depends on budget. A lot of first-time home buyers won't necessarily have enough cash on hand to do that. I see it more in my move-up buyers, so people who are taking some equity and not putting all of it down, but keeping some to do renovations, something like that. Okay, so I do work with a lot of investors as well. Most of my investors end up being, maybe their first or maybe second, third home that they've purchased. I personally believe that owning multiple properties is one of the best ways to build wealth, and also an inheritance for your survivors. So I always encourage my clients, if possible, if you already own a house and you want to buy another house, keep the house you have and make it a rental. That's the cheapest way to get into investing, because if you buy a property as a straight investor, you have to put 20 to 25% down. Your rate is going to be higher. If you keep your current home and buy another home, you can do 5% down.
But don't they say, oh, well, you're already paying mortgage on this and you're going to,
Yeah, there are ways. You can say, well, I'm going to lease this out, and they'll allow like 75% of the rental costs to count towards income.
Because they know.
From my understanding, there's ways around it. You definitely still have to qualify with it. But that's why I say, if at all possible, and you don't need to pull all that cash out to be able to buy the next home, we have a lot of things we can do to try to get you to keep that home.
Yeah.
You have to decide you want to be a landlord or work with a property management company, but I highly recommend it. I go speak at the business classes at my son's high school every year, and I try to tell the kids from a young age, like, try to buy property and try to keep it and then get more, because you can build long-term wealth, especially when you're young.
Yeah.
So I'm very passionate about that. No matter if it is your personal home or an investment property, you are investing in your future.
Yeah.
My tagline for my company is investing in dreams through real estate, because if you own your home and you have this dream where you want to, start a company, or you want to help pay for your kids to go to college or a wedding, or there's endless things you could do, you have this nest egg that you have created, because you always have to pay to live somewhere.
Yep.
You might as well be paying yourself. So I'm very, very passionate about it. I'm always happy to help investors as well as primary owners.
I always find that funny, because you do have to pay something, either rent or yourself. But it's funny how, we'll rent you this house for, $1,500 a month, but no, we won't sell it, but you can't get the mortgage for that. And because it's just such a weird thing.
When I first moved here in 2013, it was actually cheaper for me to buy my house than to rent a house.
Wow.
But with the prices going up so high and the rates being really high, the mortgage rates, it is very hard to find that right now. But I still encourage it, because at least, people talk, the rates are so high. This week I saw they were 6.7%. can I just say for a second, that is not high historically. Ask anyone who bought a house in the 80s, they probably paid 17%. So it's only high for people that have come of age as an adult during and after the Great Recession, because the government kept mortgage rates low by buying all the mortgage bonds. And so that was artificial. It was at 3% and 4% for about 15 years, which is not normal because we were trying to recover and come out of this Great Recession that was caused by the mortgage industry imploding. And so that is probably not going to return that we get back to threes, because now we are having investors buy them, and so we are going to be seeing those fives and sixes are going to be very normal numbers. So we kind of have to get used to that. I do understand. I have all the compassion in the world for the affordability. It has gotten very expensive to live in Austin, but we've got to get out of the mindset that 6.7% is so high for multiple reasons. One, the interest on rent is 100%. You're never going to get it back. For as well as we say, marry the house, date the rate. So you want the house, you get the house, especially now that prices are a little lower. When the rates do start to come down a little bit, you can refinance. And a lot of the lenders I'm working with right now are offering a no-cost refinance whenever you're ready. So I'm highly encouraging people, if you think you want to wait for the bottom of this market, I think it was last month. And so I think we need to start moving on this. And the Fed is meeting on May 10th, and we're hoping that those are really good numbers. Everyone is hopeful that they're good numbers. And if the rates come down and get under 6 again, there's going to be a ton of buyers out, and then that's going to increase the prices. So I do personally believe this is a sweet spot, but to each their own. Everyone has the right time for them, and I'm not a pusher. I'm never going to push people into it, but just from data, I do think it's a good time.
Is there a difference in everything we've talked about? Because I want to buy land, I'm more interested in land. I'll put a tiny home trailer. I don't care what I put on it, but as well as my chickens. But I want to buy some land. So, is everything the same? Obviously, there's got to be some differences because you don't have to deal with inspection.
For land in general, you need to put at least 10% down.
Oh, so the down payment
is different. The loan is different. The rate can be different.
Can you not get as many good loans on land? Or do they give more favors to the homes?
Yes. Yes. They're not awful, but it's just a different process. So our due diligence just looks different. We're not doing a home inspection, but we might be seeing if we can put in a well, what kind of utilities are on the property, making sure it's not in a flood zone. So we're just looking at some different things, making sure because there's land, just raw land that's in an HOA. We got to make sure it matches with what your goals are for the property. So it looks different, but mainly that the loan is different.
And would it be cheaper if it wasn't plumbed?
Yes.
And no utilities.
Yeah. The more available utilities there are, the more expensive they are in general. In general, with land, if it's not in a subdivision, you're probably going to need to put in a septic tank. That's quite expensive, depending on how.
And we're mostly on rock. We don't have, in Kansas, we can dig anything.
And we have a lot of granite.
Kansas or Texas, it's hard to dig.
Granite underlying around here. So, but I mean, I've sold land, I've sold ranches, I've sold condos, I've sold subdivision homes, custom homes, I've sold everything. So I've learned a lot about what each type of transaction has, and then what people are looking for when they're, searching out for that specific type of thing. Okay.
I just had to we got 7 minutes. I just wanted to get that in there, the land question.
I mean, a lot of people are really interested in tiny homes right now as well. They're portable. You can go where you want. But so I do help people relocate here a lot. So there's a process for it usually. A lot of times people will come out here on a visit, and then I'll take them on a tour for most of the day. They'll tell me what they're looking for. I'll recommend some neighborhoods. We'll go look at some new construction. We'll look at resale. I usually take them out to lunch in the area that they think that they want to live in. And
get them excited. Ooh, this is such a cool restaurant.
Yes, we go to Jack Allen's,
I love this place.
Or we go to Summer Moon.
Yes.
And then I'm trying to, I drive with them because I want to hear what they want, and then I also want to show them what they're looking at. And so I've helped many families relocate here. I tell them, listen, we got to assimilate. Like, we got to keep Texas, Texas, please. But, you know, they're happy to be here. This is a booming area. We have grown so much in the 10 years that I've lived here, but we have so many tech companies. We have so much business development here, and it really is a wonderful place to live. And I understand why people want to move here. I mean, I relocated here from San Diego, and I renounced my California roots, by the way. But you know, it's been a blessing to me to be able to help people, because I know what it felt like to show up and not know anyone except for your realtor.
Yeah.
I didn't know anyone.
Yeah.
My family, my parents, my sister and I, we all moved here together, but that was it.
Yeah.
And so I have a lot of compassion and love for these people, and it's been wonderful.
And I know, you know, your personality, I know you personally, so you probably get a lot of referral. Like, once you sell someone a house, they use you for the next one, or even tell their mom, their dad, their brother, sister.
My business is 100% referral based.
Yeah.
I'm really thankful that I was taught how to do that. I really genuinely love the people I work with, and so I try to do my best to serve them well, and that has brought me a lot of clients. And even the agents I work with have all been people who have known me through work, either working together or past clients or church. And so, I love doing business like that. And I've helped multi-generations of people.
That's awesome.
Buy houses.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's most of what I do. I really adore doing it.
Yeah.
I'm always looking for experienced realtors to come work with Haven Homes.
Yeah.
We do look for a specific type of agent, which is someone with high integrity, strong work ethic, and somebody that wants to do this full time. Because there's a lot of agents that don't work full time, and that's okay. But for our company, we do spend a lot of time training. We go to ongoing trainings, and I do one-on-one training for all my agents so that they can learn how to run their business for themselves, and always looking to grow.
I know a lot of professions have like credits that you have to do.
Yep.
Does real estate the same? Like every 2 months you have to get whatever?
Every 2 years you have to renew your license. The first year is a big one. You have to do 98 hours of continuing education on specific subjects. And I think they did that because to take the test is not, you're not learning what you need.
Yeah.
You know, so that first 2 years is a training process. And then after that, you have to take Legal 1, Legal 2 updates, and then some other classes. It's like 18 hours after that.
Wow.
So, but I think it's very important. I always exceed what I need to take because I love learning.
Yeah.
And I think it just makes you a better realtor.
Yeah. And you can hand that, you know, pass that information along, you know, down the line. With the staging, do you do your own staging? Do you hire out for that?
So if my clients have their own furniture, I can rearrange it. I tell them if it's a really tricky space, like we don't really understand why this space is here, then I'll hire a stager to come in and use their furniture. But if it's a vacant home, then I hire a stager to come in and bring furniture in.
Yeah. I was going to say, I know a really good stager. I'm
Okay,
going to pass along that
I would love that.
Yeah, she's good.
Yeah, I mean, think about going to a vacant house versus a model home. It is night and day.
Yeah.
It feels really good to be in model homes. Everyone loves looking at model homes because they're beautiful and you can imagine it. And I mean, they have usually every upgrade that you could have in that home. That home is much more expensive than the base price, but you can get an idea of what you can do with it. But yes, we're definitely seeing more staging now.
Yeah. I've seen her, like, she has this big, I was like, you know, I don't know, like 20 tables, you know, 10 bed, like all this stuff. I'm like, wow.
Yep.
Yeah. It looks nice. Let's make sure we get, so we talked about property and investing, social media. Is that anything that, you know, I feel like you do a lot more than.
I do a lot of social media because that's the easiest way to reach people.
Yeah.
And I do try to encourage the agents to do that as well, and we do trainings on that. It's also the way I meet a lot of my clients. It's through referrals on social media and following people and them following me. But I naturally enjoy it. There's a lot of agents that will hire that out, and there's no problem with that, but I like it, so I keep doing it, but it's one of my favorite parts of my business. But I do think it's really important to stay relevant and to get more eyes on the properties.
Yeah. And Facebook, there's so many things now. Back in the
Yeah.
in the 80s, you basically had to talk to someone.
Yeah.
There was no Facebook. There was no I mean,
My-
I guess they had pictures.
Well, my
but
first broker said that there was a book that got delivered, I think every week. That was the
homes.
multiple listing service, and you just had to wait for that and then find it and,
Wow.
use your maps and go.
Wow.
So yeah, we're definitely spoiled. Everything's
Oh,
at
yeah,
our fingertips. But it's still important to put in the work.
And you Google Map, boom.
Yeah.
You can see
Oh, yeah.
the
You see
house. You can see
Satellite,
from the
yeah. So that's helpful to just
Yeah.
eliminate some
Yeah.
possibilities.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely do a lot of social media. I think it also helps because people already feel like they know me
Yeah.
when they meet
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
So it's both of the Instagram and Facebook handles are Haven Homes Austin.
Yeah, let's
So
get that.
at Haven Homes Austin for both of those.
Okay.
If you want to find me.
Yes, and we are going off, but thank you so much. I always have a million questions about whatever the topic is, but this definitely is helpful, and I know it helped a lot of people. Austin is a huge market, so hopefully people can get the houses they want before it gets up too high. I know I'm going to try to strike next year,
Okay.
but
Yeah. And like I said, everyone knows when it's the right time for them. So listen to your gut, listen
Yeah.
to your instincts. But I do encourage people to at least start looking into it.
Yep. Thank you, Caitlyn.
Okay, bye.
Bring our real credit.